Senator Evan Bayh, well, big-time news from him today. Today announcing that he will not run again despite a commanding lead in the polls, and he's blaming all of Congress for his decisions. The two-term senator is upset. Too much partisanship, too much government spending. Well, this sent a wake-up call down both sides of the aisle. I'm joined now by Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. Well, I want to know, what was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Well, my initial reaction, of course, was shock because Evan Bayh has been there for 2 terms, and he's definitely would have won re-election. He's very popular. The Bayh name is strong in Indiana.
What do you think the message he's trying to send? Listen, we know he's upset on both sides, but I listened to his speech, today when he announced he was leaving with his family, and it seemed like for everything he was upset with the GOP about, he had another something to be upset with the Democrats about as well. Do the Democrats take anything from this? Is this yet another message that they should be heeding?
Well, I think all of Congress, there's a gridlock that the American public doesn't like, and there is a lot of partisanship, and there's a lot of divide, and there's a lot of gamesmanship. And the Republicans haven't worked with Democrats, and the Democrats aren't working, the progressives necessarily, with the blue dogs. So Evan Bayh, being a blue dog and a Democrat, was kind of caught in a bind. But the fortunate thing is we've got a great bench in Indiana: Barron Hill, Joe Donnelly, Brad Ellsworth, 3 great possible candidates.
But with all due respect, is that the great thing? I mean, it seems like you're saying, okay, as long as we can hold the seat, it doesn't really matter. This is a guy who was very influential, leading in the polls, and to your point, considered by many people somewhat of a political superstar. For him to walk away from the party, doesn't that say something to you? Doesn't that say, perhaps, and I know that you're one of the more liberal members of Congress, doesn't it say, though, perhaps you guys are going to have to carve out room in the Democratic Party for the Blue Dogs to have an opinion and maybe to get some things their way?
I think the Blue Dogs have input. I think what Senator Bayh was concerned about was Congress in general. And while I'm real proud to be in Congress and look forward to serving several more terms, I can understand his frustration after 12 years. You don't get a lot accomplished. And the Senate gets less accomplished. The House has passed 6 major initiatives of President Obama. The Senate's only passed 1, and that was health care, and in such a time that it was difficult to get a conference committee together and pass a bill. So I think he's frustrated with the system. The system is not made to pass bills, but to defeat bills, to defeat progress. The filibuster law, that shouldn't be there. You should have to stand up there like Jimmy Stewart and do your filibuster, and not just say we don't have 60. You need
so they want him to really actually go through with it, huh?
Yeah, Mr. Smith goes to Washington. You need to do that.
What about the big government aspect of this? Don't you feel, though, that there is a message, Evan Bayh hit on it today, that Americans are worried about the government, the size of it, the scope of it, the heavy-handedness of it?
Well, I think there's a concern, but at the same time, with the economy the way it is, we had 2 wars during the Bush administration and other social welfare legislation that was not funded, and tax cuts that weren't funded. They gave President Obama an impossible situation to deal with. And he and the Congresses have worked, Paulson and his successor have worked, Geithner, to get the TARP bill passed, to get the ARRA passed, and the economy is improving. But it is a problem. And in times of economic recession, the government's got more need because you got more people that need help with medical attention. They go to the state. They need COBRA. They need unemployment compensation.
But I don't know that that's it. I mean, I think there's the czars that have been announced. The EPA saying, it's going to step up its activity. I think people are just intimidated by the size, the overall overarching scope of the government being so large that it seems to cast a shadow on this country.
Well, with the shadow certainly recessed during the Bush days, and that's the reason we almost had a financial meltdown.
Do people want it to be back, and do they want it to be as large as it's getting right now?
I think it needs to be. I think that in financial controls, we need them, because the lack of financial controls is what cost this economy to almost go under and ruin the whole nation, the world's economy. And then there are issues with the other issues where there needs to be the people to be looked out for. My district people are out of jobs. They need help with COBRA. They need help with unemployment compensation. They need help with Medicaid. They need jobs. Those are the Purple Hearts.
Those things that you named, though, are not jobs. Those are things that help people who are out of work. But how do you create a condition where jobs are actually created and nurtured?
Well, those things put money in the economy immediately. Those people will spend it. But you help create it by tax credits.
They'll also always be slaves to the government, too. They'll always need welfare. They'll always need Medicaid. How do you create an environment where they no longer need that, where they can go out on their own and find real sustainable jobs that have upside potential?
Well, there are tax credits that we're offering and that the Senate bill and the Jobs bill has and the House Jobs bill had. House Jobs bill is better than the Senate Jobs bill, but they have tax credits for hiring new people.
You mean that $15 billion bill?
Now it's 80. Ours is 150.
All right. That's all we have for right now. I really appreciate it. It's great. By the way, nice seeing you in person.
Good to see you, and good to be in the city.
Good luck with your run.
Good to be in the city that doesn't sleep.
Yeah, never sleeps. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
unlike Washington, which slept for a week last week, right? Well, anyway, the spending backlash